In 2007, three strangers checked into room 313 at a quiet motel in Elko, Nevada. What happened inside that room would haunt them and anyone who heard their story forever. One guest, a truck driver named Robert, was found muttering in a language he didn't understand, Latin. Another, a college student, disappeared for 12 hours, only to return with no memory of what had happened. Third guest, a woman, was found wandering the desert in a daze, barefoot and unable to recognize her own name. What exactly occurred in room 313 is still a mystery, but the locals know this much. Something evil still watches over that room. No one who enters ever truly leaves unscathed. The Elko Motel was nothing more than a small roadside stop for weary travelers. Modest building, faded signage, and cracked windows. It didn't scream danger. Room 313 was just like any other, tucked at the far end of the building, with nothing remarkable about it. For years, it had been rented out without incident, a place for truckers, tourists, and locals passing through. But in 2007, something changed. Room, once ordinary, became the site of unexplainable events. No one could have predicted that it would soon be known as the place where terror began and never left. In January 2007, Robert, a long-haul truck driver, pulled into the Elko Motel after a grueling day on the road. He was tired, eager to rest for the night. Checking into room 313, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, just a basic, dimly lit room. But as the night wore on, Robert noticed something strange. In the corner of his eye, he swore he saw a figure standing near the TV, motionless, watching him. Dismissed it as exhaustion playing tricks on his mind. But the figure didn't go away. Throughout the night, Robert could feel its presence, an oppressive weight in the air. He tried to shake it off, but the unease grew. In the morning, when the motel manager entered the room to check on him, Robert was found curled up in a fetal position on the floor, his body trembling. He muttered the same chilling words over and over. "He watches me. He watches me." The manager, shaken, didn't know what to say. Robert claimed he couldn't remember the details of the night, but he knew one thing. Whatever he'd felt in that room was real, and it wasn't human. Latin incident, March 2007. In March 2007, a college student named James stopped at the Elko Motel during a road trip. He had no intention of staying long, just a quick rest before continuing his journey. Checking into room 313, James was a typical, carefree young man, until something took hold of him that night. Around midnight, the motel staff received a disturbing report. They went to check on James and found him in his room, his eyes wild with panic. What was even more unsettling was what he was doing, scratching violent, jagged phrases into the wall with his bare nails. At first glance, it looked like nonsense, but when the staff got closer, they realized the words were in Latin, a language James had never studied. The phrases were eerie, cryptic, and seemed to reference something dark, something ancient. "Watcher is here," one phrase read. "He will never leave." Another. James, shaking and unable to explain his actions, was taken to a psychiatric facility for evaluation. Doctors found no prior signs of mental illness, nor any history with Latin. The incident baffled everyone involved. What drove James to scratch those words into the wall? Was it possession, or something even darker? In May 2007, a woman named Sarah checked into room 313 for a single night's stay. She had been traveling alone, looking for a quiet place to rest. By all accounts, Sarah was a perfectly ordinary guest until she disappeared. When the morning came, staff noticed Sarah's car was still parked outside, but her room was empty. Hours passed, and by midday, there was no sign of her. That was until 12 hours later, Sarah was found wandering barefoot along a desolate highway several miles from the motel. Clothes were torn, and her face was pale with confusion. When the authorities brought her back to the motel, Sarah could not remember anything that had happened during those 12 hours. She couldn't even recall her own name. Her mind was blank, as if those hours had been wiped away. The most chilling part? Sarah's camera, which she'd had with her, was found in her bag. When investigators looked through the photos, they found nothing but black images. Every single photo was pitch black. No one could explain why. Sarah had no memory of taking them, nor could she explain the terrifying gap in her memory. What happened during those lost hours in room 313? By the summer of 2007, The rumors surrounding room 313 had started to spread like wildfire. Hotel staff, once oblivious to any strange occurrences, were now whispering among themselves. The room, once just another part of the motel, had taken on an aura of dread that no one could ignore. Started with the maid who was assigned to clean the room. After hearing the stories from guests and seeing the eerie presence in the room herself, she flatly refused to clean it. She claimed that every time she entered, she felt an overwhelming sense of fear, as if someone or something was watching her. Didn't take long before other staff members shared similar stories, many describing odd, unexplained noises from the room. Faint knocking, strange whispers, and even the sound of furniture shifting when no one was inside. Guests who stayed in room 313 started reporting more unsettling experiences too. Some heard knocking sounds from the room when it was supposedly vacant. Others claimed to see shadows moving behind the blinds at night, even though the room was unoccupied. By the end of the summer, room 313 was officially removed from the motel's booking system. No one dared to stay there anymore. Something was wrong, and everyone could feel it. In 2010, an archival interview with the former owner of the Elko Motel shed new light on the sinister history of room 313. Interview, recorded just a year before his sudden and mysterious death, revealed startling confessions about the room's dark past. The owner, an older man named Harold Wells, had been reluctant to speak about room 313, but after some pressing, he finally admitted that room was cursed. Should have shut it down earlier, but I didn't want to believe it. His voice trembled as he recounted the strange occurrences that began after the truck driver's incident in January 2007. According to Harold, the room had a bad energy long before the guests' terrifying experiences. Harold described hearing rumors from other staff about unsettling events. People seeing figures in the hallway at night, strange noises coming from the room, and the increasing number of guests who reported being watched or followed after staying there. 2 weeks after this interview, Harold Wells was found dead under mysterious circumstances. His cause of death was never conclusively determined, but many locals believe that the curse of room 313 may have claimed yet another victim. His last words lingered in the air. I should have shut it down. Discovery of an old diary beneath the floorboards, 2009. Renovation team uncovers a locked box under the floor. Inside, 1954 diary describing rituals performed in that room when it was part of a religious cult retreat center. In 2009, during a routine renovation of the Elko Motel, workers made a shocking discovery beneath the floorboards of room 313. As they tore up the old wood, they uncovered a locked metal box buried deep within the dust and grime. Inside, they found a weathered diary, its pages yellowed with age, written in a delicate, almost faded hand. Diary, dated 1954, revealed an unsettling history that no one had anticipated. It wasn't just a guest book or an ordinary journal. It chronicled the activities of a religious cult that had once used the room as part of a secluded retreat center. The entries described bizarre rituals and ceremonies performed in the very room that would later become infamous. The cult, led by a charismatic but sinister figure, believed the room was a gateway to another realm, one that could be accessed only through dark, sacrificial rites. A final entry, written just before the cult's mysterious dissolution, was chilling. The room is now sealed. Gateway must remain closed, or the consequences will be unbearable. This discovery shed new light on the terrifying events in room 313. Was the room truly cursed by the cult's rituals? And had they unknowingly opened something that should have remained locked away? In 2013, a popular paranormal YouTuber known for his daring investigations decided to explore the notorious room 313. Armed with cameras and audio equipment, he was determined to capture definitive proof of the room's eerie reputation. What he recorded, however, was far beyond what anyone could have anticipated. While inside the room, the YouTuber captured faint whispers, so soft at first that they seemed like the wind. But upon closer inspection, the whispers grew louder, forming distinct words in an unfamiliar language. After months of research, experts concluded that the language sounded remarkably like Aramaic, an ancient language that, some believe, was once used in dark religious rites. Video, titled The Whisper Tapes, quickly gained traction on social media as viewers clamored to hear the haunting evidence. However, less than 48 hours after it was uploaded, YouTube mysteriously removed the video from the platform without explanation. YouTuber's account was flagged, and he was given no clear reason for the removal, only that it violated YouTube's community guidelines. This mysterious removal sparked even more intrigue. Was the video too disturbing for public consumption? Or was there something in the whispers, something ancient, that YouTube didn't want the world to hear? The truth remains unclear, but the whisper tapes are forever lost to the digital abyss. As the bizarre events surrounding room 313 continued to unfold, paranormal experts began to formulate a chilling theory. What if the room wasn't just cursed? What if it had been used as a gateway, a portal between realms? According to some experts, the rituals performed in the room in the 1950s were never completed. A cult, obsessed with accessing otherworldly powers, may have attempted a summoning ritual that never fully succeeded. However, the energy they unleashed didn't dissipate. It lingered. Over time, the energy built up, growing stronger and more malevolent, waiting for new vessels to inhabit. Each guest who stayed in room 313 might have been an unwilling participant in this dormant ritual, unknowingly feeding the growing darkness within. Latin phrases scratched into the walls, the whispers in unknown tongues, the memory lapses, all of these may have been signs of an incomplete summoning that sought to draw the souls of the living into its fold. The room's energy, experts claim, is not just a curse but a residue of unfinished rituals, an accumulating force that has been feeding on those who enter. As the years pass, room 313 continues to draw in the unsuspecting, its dark energy only growing stronger with each passing guest. In 2014, after nearly a decade of escalating paranormal events, the owners of the Elko Motel made the decision to permanently close room 313. The room was sealed off with heavy metal plating, a final attempt to contain whatever dark force had plagued it for so long. Motel's management hoped that this would be the end of it, that sealing the room would finally put an end to the terror. However, the strange happenings did not cease. Despite the heavy metal barriers, there were multiple reports of break-in attempts over the following years. Some claimed to have seen shadowy figures lurking around the room at night, while others described strange lights flickering through the cracks in the metal plating. It was as if the room itself was trying to call out, begging to be reopened. Motel, once a thriving business, slowly began to deteriorate as more and more guests refused to stay. Word spread, and eventually, it was completely shut down. The building now sits abandoned, a crumbling reminder of its dark past. Once busy highway that passed the motel now only draws curious thrill seekers and ghost hunters. Though the room is sealed, its legend lives on, its curse never fully contained. Room 313 may be gone, but it is far from forgotten. In 2023, a real estate investor purchased the abandoned Elko Motel with plans to flip it. But 5 months have passed, and he's been unreachable ever since. His wife received one last message from him before he vanished. I opened the door, still alive. Authorities found his car still parked outside, but there was no sign of him. The motel remains eerily silent, as if waiting for the next chapter to unfold. The question remains, what did he awaken? Will anyone else dare to enter room 313 again?